So if you're preparing from the certification point of view, this is basically the course content that we have designed, and this course content, okay, has all the relevant topics that basically comes under the certification. Okay. So this is basically the course content over here. Okay, so it has the introduction of EWM, then the integration of EWM. So this course is specifically designed for no embedded S4 HANA. Okay, EWM embedded S4 HANA, not for the decentralized or classical decentralized S4 HANA on EWM. Okay, so we are not covering those topics only. The course that we will cover is basically embedded S4 HANA. Okay, so introduction, then integration, then the organizational structure of EWM, that how the EWM organizational structure look like, then the warehouse process type, good reset process, good issue process, some put away strategies, okay, to place the material in the warehouse and to pick the material from the warehouse. Then this is basically the very important topic, that is the storage location control. Okay, that basically includes the process oriented and the layout oriented. So EWM basically works on this concept. Okay, so this is the important concept. Okay, then order creation rule. Okay, like what we do in the warehouse, we basically creates the transfer requirement and transfer order to move the material from one place to another. Okay, in EWM basically creates the warehouse task to move the materials, and that task basically governed by the warehouse orders. Okay, so you can group multiple warehouse tasks in one warehouse order. Then how to create those not tasks and club into the one warehouse order, we will see later. Okay, when we cover this topic. Then the posting change notifications, as what we basically do in the material management side, warehouse side. Same, we have the posting change notification, stock transfer and replenishment in EWM. Then integration of quality management system. Okay, in EWM, how it works. Then integration of the production. Okay.
Can you go up a little bit? Can you go up? Above storage capacity. So can you go up? Goods issue little up. Yeah, it's fine. Now you can proceed.
Okay. Then we have we will covering the physical inventory. Okay, topic, different type of physical inventory. Then we will discuss regarding the slotting and the rearrangement. So this is basically a new concept in EWM. Okay, what is slotting and what is rearrangement? Okay, and how SAP EWM basically helps in providing the optimized way of placing the material in the warehouse, that we will cover in this slotting. Then we have a concept like PPF action, same as what we have in the material management, like message types and all. So we have the PPF actions in this EWM, and that has a very big scope. Okay, not only to send the message type, but yes, there are many things like to print handling unit, to create automatic task and all, basically governs under or work under this PPF action. Yard management, and to add no process flow of yard management, we will see, we will assign it with the transportation unit also, that how the transportation unit basically assign in the yard management, and how the end-to-end process flows in the yard management. Then radio RF, okay, devices, how we can integrate EWM with RF devices. Okay, then the wave management, it is an old concept in ERP itself. Okay, to club the different outbound deliveries. Okay, to pick the material from the warehouse. Same we have in EWM also. Okay, then handling special products like value added services is one of some of the advanced topics of EWM. Packing process. Okay, whenever we want to deliver a material to the customer, before that we have to pack the materials. Okay, so we take the material to the packing stations, and based on the different packaging profile that is basically required against a particular material, that works under this packing process. Then the deconsolidation process, it is basically breaking a big pallet of mixed materials into small pallets. Okay, so we basically receive a big pallets of mixed material. We break that big pallet. Okay, segregate the materials, and then place the material in the individual handling unit, and then take those handling unit to the final put away section. Okay, then we have the cross docking also. Okay, so we have different type of cross docking that we will see. okay, in EWM. Apart from that, I will be covering the labor management. Okay, so that topic I have not added over here, but yes, that topic I will cover. Okay, so this is the course content, okay, that I will be covering in this, and it is relevant to S4 HANA embedded. Okay,
Finish the course if I have experience in ECC. S4 HANA, can I able to manage?
sorry, can you please come again? If
See,
you have,
actually, we are experienced in MM, but we
hmm,
worked with ECC only. But S4 HANA, can I able to do?
yes, yes,
Okay,
that can be able to do. Yeah.
okay. How long it will take, sir?
So it will take around no 40 to 44 hours. Okay, to
Okay,
complete the entire course.
okay. Is it
Okay,
a
so
daily class
it
or?
it 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 can be a daily class or it can be a weekly class, depending on the comfortability of all the students. Okay, so you can just now give your preferences to the admin. Okay, and
Okay,
accordingly, me and admin basically decide what is basically a comfortable time for everyone, for me as well and
mm,
for you all guys. Okay, and then we can start a batch. So
okay,
it could be weekly, it could be you know uh, a weekend also. So both things can be done. Okay, so
okay,
depending on the comfortability of all the students. Okay,
okay.
yeah. So now if I go to the other parts of those who are new to this, no, SAP or EWM, you can see that this is how the warehouse look like. Okay, so if you want to put the material in this warehouse, this could look like this also. Okay, so it is very very complex, and then we have to now bifurcate, or we have to do the bifurcation in the warehouse based on the storage types, storage sections, and storage bin. Okay, so this is basically just give me a second. Yeah. So what we it is basically a basic concept of warehouse management also. That is the old warehouse management that we are using in ECC. Okay. So it in the warehouse management also, we are just segregating the entire warehouse or bifurcating the entire warehouse based on the storage types, storage sections, and storage bin. So if you can see, this is basically the storage type. Okay, so you can name those or number those storage type, and within the storage type we have the storage sections. So you can see these are the horizontal. You can basically divide the storage types into different sections. The section can be divided based on the material type, material classifications, or you can say based on the frequency of the material that we are using, that is high frequency material, low frequency material, or okay, average frequency material. So based on that, we can divide the entire storage type into different storage sections, and then within the sections we have the storage bin. So you can see these are the storage bins. Okay, you can consider one pallet as a bin. So as of now, just to make the thing simple, you can see these no wooden boxes, so you can consider it as one bin. Generally we have those no sections within. So you can see the lower picture over here. Just let me zoom. So this is one bin, if you can see. So this is one bin. This is how we basically place the material in those bins, and within this bin you can place the material under the different handling units. So these pallets or no wooden boards, you can consider it as a handling unit. Okay, over here. So this is how we are now placing the material, and we know that where we need to place the material and where we need to pick the material. So this is how the warehouse look like, and then we basically design the warehouse in the system in such a beautiful way that we can able to identify that where we need to place this material depending on the say weight, volume, size of the material. So if the material is quite bulky, like assemblies or the big equipments, then it is always good, we can place it on the general storage areas. Okay, or on the bulk area. So these are basically the general storage area. Open storage area means where you are not using any racks. Okay, so you can place it on the floor itself. So these are the bulk storage, general storage, or you can say the open storage. Okay, where you can place the big material. So why we are using these materials in the general storage or open storage? Because these are easily identified by your naked eyes. Okay, so if you have placed the big assemblies or equipments, okay, on the floor, so when you enter in the warehouse, you can easily able to understand that where that big assembly is. Assembly could be very big. Okay, so that you can easily identify within the warehouse. But if you are putting any nuts, washer, okay, or any small equipment in the warehouse, then it is very difficult to find the material under this warehouse. So that's why we are designing, or we are divide the warehouse into different section storage types, sections, and bin. Okay. Coming to EWM, okay, if we compare the EWM functionality with the basic WM, you can see this is how the standard EWM functionality is basically come up with. So we have a lot of features in EWM that is basically the standard features, okay, that doesn't means that only requires the basic customization and through which you can use those features. Okay, so some of the features we will be using in our course content. So these features are basically the advanced also, or the one that we may not be using in our course content also. Okay, like standard voice picking and all, so we may not be covering in this demo session, but the basic the overall flows, the basic flows or the advanced flows that generally use in day to day warehouse activities, that we will be covering. Okay.
Yeah, I have the small doubt. Just now you shown that EWM functional. So I have one question in this. There is a EWM. It is divided into two parts, like a technical and functional, or it is only a functional.
It is only functional. So technical, you mean to say the ABAP part, right?
Yes,
No,
because
so ABAP part, yeah.
website. I'm from the website. I'm having a 6 years of experience in ABAP. So I heard about the EWM. It is divided into two parts: the EWM functional and EWM technical.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it is like that.
Yes.
We have separate training for the EWM technical things.
See, for EWM technical things, there is nothing much. Okay, no, if you consider the previous modules like SAP MM, WM, and all, so you have the basic structure to debug the things. Same we have in EWM. So there is no special things in the technical side of EWM. Okay, there could be some, but I'm not aware of those technical part. Okay, because I'm taking purely the functional side. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you know the basic debugging knowledge, okay, since you already have the 6 years, so you are at the expert part. So the basic debugging concepts and everything is same in EWM. Okay,
So it
only
is
the
good
new
for.
function modules.
Huh?
Yeah, it is always good. It is always good. Okay, being as a techno functional is having a high demand. Okay. So
Okay.
industries, big industries like product-based industries, they always look for the people who have the techno-functional kind of expertise. So the people who can debug the code themselves. Okay, instead of seeking help from the developers, they can debug the code, and if they want to add something, they can add also. So big, these product-based companies always prefer to have techno-functionals, and they have a very high package also. Okay, in the market.
Thank you.
Okay. So in EWM, basically, come up with few things, okay, as compared to the previous WM. So the few things in EWM that come up with is basically the work centers. Okay. So if I go directly to the work center, this is the screen that you have seen many times, okay, in some of the contents on the Google itself. So this is the typical warehouse layout, okay, and then you have to just add this layout in your mind whenever you are doing any process, okay, in the system. So this is basically your doors, okay, where the material basically received from the vendor. Okay, so those material will come in trucks, and then it will get parked at the doors. So this is the door, okay, where the truck will get parked, and then you have to unload the material. So whatever the material that is in the truck, you have to unload it, and then you have to take it over here. Okay, that we call it as inbound staging area. So inbound staging area is basically the area where you are keeping all the inbound activities. Before taking it to the final destination bin, you're just placing the material for some initial quality inspection, counting, or visual inspections. Like you have received the order, your pantry order from Amazon. So you once you receive the material or the order from the delivery guy, you never take it directly to the kitchen. You just place it somewhere to do some visual inspections, counting, and everything. And once you find that everything is okay as per the list that you have provided, then you take it to the kitchen. So same thing is this in the warehouse also. We receive every material at the inbound staging area. We keep it for some time. Okay, we call it as interim, like the temporary area where we are keeping the material for counting purpose, or we just check whether the material is not damaged, or the packing of material is not damaged. So all those visual inspection we perform over here, and then from here we take it to the final destination bin or the final storage type. So these are the different storage type you can see. This is so within the warehouse, okay, in EWM we have the work centers. Okay, in EWM come up with the work center. So what is work centers? So consider these as the work center. One work center, two work center. What are these? I will tell you. Okay, and then this is a third work center as of now in this layout. So what is this work center? Work center is where you are operating, means where the material undergo for some operations or activities. Operations and activity means that you have received a material and material is subject to the quality inspection, means you have to perform quality over that material. So in that case, you will take the material to the quality inspection. Consider this is as a quality inspection area. This is a physical area that you have designated in the warehouse where the material will receive, and you will perform the quality inspection. So some rigorous testing you will perform, okay, over there. And once it is approved under the quality inspection or by the quality inspection engineer, then you will take to the final destination bin. So this area is known as the work center where you are performing the quality operations over the material. There is another area or many areas in the work center that, sorry, in the EWM warehouses or in the normal warehouses. This is known as the packing work center also. So the packing work center is that before delivering the material to the customer, you take the material to the packing stations, you pack the material, okay, as per the customer need, and then deliver it to the
Hello.
customer. So these are basically the work centers. Yes, yes, go ahead.
Sir, you are
Hmm.
saying about this quality inspection. When material is coming inside, so
Hmm.
it must be in the packed condition. So quality inspection is done with the with unpacking. How it is done then?
Okay, it is all depend whether the material receive with the packing or unpacked. Means it is not always compulsory that no, the vendor will send you a material under a packing, okay, with
Yeah.
some packing. So you always receive, means two points are there while receiving the material, whether the material is unpacked. So if it is unpacked, then what you will do, you will basically come up with some pallets or something or trolley where you will put the material, okay, and then take
Correct.
it to the quality inspection bin. So once the material is approved, okay, and then you will take the material to the final destination bin. Now, based on the final destination bin or the storage type also, you have to perform the packing. Suppose you have a storage type where before placing the material in the storage type, the packing is required. Means the material will always store in the pallets or in the wooden boxes. So in that case, the packing is required. Okay. There are the storage type where the packing is not required. You can put the material as it is, as you have received from the vendor, that is without packing also. So it is not compulsory, but it is basically a different scenarios, okay, where you are receiving the material as unpacked from the vendor or you receive the material as a packed from the vendor. Okay, so these are the two different scenarios.
It's just a visual inspection, no?
Yeah, it's just a visual inspection. This part is just a visual inspection. This part,
Yeah, yeah,
this is the
yeah.
visual
Okay.
inspection that we perform. Okay, but packing and unpacking is both basically a different scenarios. You
Yeah.
can receive a material without packing, or you can receive a material with packing from vendor. Okay.
Yeah, it's from a manufacturing yard. It is packed with inspection also.
Yes, yes. So, as I said, that these are the different work centers that we have in EWM. That is basically a new concept, okay, of EWM, where we are performing certain activities or operations. You can consider this work center as a deconsolidation. That is basically a quite important topic of EWM. So, deconsolidation is that you have received a material in a big pallets. So, it is a mix of material, like you have received a cricket kit. Okay, so in that kit, you have the balls, you have the pads, you have the bat, you have the helmet, everything is packed under one big pallet. Okay, so directly taking that big pallet into the final destination bin is not advisable. Okay, but since you want to pick only balls from the warehouse, then it will be difficult because you have to break the pallets and everything. So what you will do in that, you will take the material to the deconsolidation work center, and you break that big pallet, segregate the material, means you can keep all the balls aside, you can keep all the bats aside, means you can bifurcate or segregate the material and then pack the material in the different handling unit. Means all the balls in one handling unit, all the bats in one handling unit, all the your helmet in one handling unit, and then take those handling unit to the final destination bin. Okay, and then place it individually. So that is basically deconsolidation. So these are the different work centers that we can define in the EWM, okay, depending on the need of the business. Okay. So this is one concept. Okay, that is important. And the another concept is basically the storage controls. So storage control is basically a beautiful concept of EWM that is not there previously in standard WM. So it is basically in the storage control we have the POS, that is process oriented storage control, and the layout oriented storage control. So what is this? So if I want to take the material in my warehouse, okay, then how the process flows. Suppose I have three types of material. Okay, just consider this screenshot. So this is similar to what I have now I'm showing over here in this over here. Okay, so this is my doors, this is my truck that is basically delivering the material at my warehouse. This is my inbound staging area. This is my count operation to count the material. This is my quality inspection area where I'm doing the quality inspection. This is my deconsolidation area where I break the pallets and segregate the materials. And after that, I have the storage types, different storage type where I'm placing the material. Okay. Suppose I have three types of material that I'm receiving in this particular truck. So one material says that for one material, the quality inspection is required. Like for the material one, this quality inspection is required. For the other material, counting, quality inspection, both these two operations are required. Okay, and for the third one, count, quality inspection, sorry, decon, that is deconsolidation, and quality inspection is required. Okay, so these three materials have three different processes. One is basically I will add one more material 4, that doesn't require quality inspection, that doesn't require counting, that doesn't require deconsolidation, but you unload the material, okay, and then directly put away. So 4 materials and 4 different processes need to be followed in the warehouse. So when the material first is basically received over here in this particular truck, and when we are unloading the material, so process oriented storage control is basically a setup that basically helps in driving the material depending on the process that we have set for that material in the warehouse. That is, the material will only go with this quality inspection. So we basically set certain processes in the EWM system in the configuration, and then assign that steps to this material so that material can follow that particular process or that particular steps. So what process the material is following, that is material 1 receive at door. Okay, and then from door it will go to the inbound staging area, and from inbound staging area it will go to the quality inspection. So this is basically the flow: door, then inbound staging area, that is INBD, and then QI. That is one flow that we have set for one material. Then the second flow is it basically go with the count and QI. So first it will receive at door, and from door it will come to the inbound staging area. So these two things are common. Okay, because whenever I am receiving a material at the door, I have to do the unloading. Means I will unload the material from the truck and then bring it to the inbound staging area, that is the initial area. Okay, and from there are the three different processes that I have to deal with. Some material may go with this process, some material will go with this process, and some material may not go with any of the process and directly go to the storage type. Okay, so this process driven approach is basically known as the process oriented storage control. So here the second material will go to the door to the inbound, and it will go to the count first, that is this operation counting. It will go to this count work center and perform the counting. Okay, and then once the counting is done, then the next process that it will go is basically the quality inspection. Okay, and after quality inspection it will go to the storage type or put away. Okay, then the third material is goes with the door. Okay, then inbound area where it will stay for some time. Then it will go to the count first. Okay, where we will perform the counting operation. After counting we will perform the deconsolidation. After deconsolidation we will take it to the quality inspection, and after quality inspection I will take it to the final storage type. So you can see how the process is basically increasing or decreasing depending on the materials. So this driven or this approach is known as the process oriented storage control. Each and every material can have a different processes to go through in the warehouse, and those processes we assign in the material master of that material, so that whenever the material receive at the warehouse, it knows that which process or which way I have to go. Okay, and that basically drive automatically in EWM. So there you no need as a warehouse operator. If I'm dealing with the thousands of material of different type, I cannot have such memory in my mind that this material should go to the quality, this material should not go to the quality, this material comes to the deconsolidation. If an old warehouse guy is there that is basically working in the industry since 20 years or 30 years or 10 years or 5 years, he may know have an idea. But the new warehouse operator who have newly appointed, he may not have that idea. So system basically guide that you have received material A, then the material A will go to the door, and from door it will go to the inbound, and from inbound it will go to the quality. After quality it will directly go to the final storage type for to store the material. Okay, so for the material 2 it will go to such processes, and for material 3 it will go to all those processes, and for the material 4 it will go from the door to inbound and to the final storage type, because it doesn't require any quality inspection, it doesn't require any counting, it doesn't require any deconsolidation. Because you can consider an example of an assembly or a equipment, a big equipment that you have received, and against that equipment vendor has already provided you the quality certification. So in that case you do not require any quality, okay, because the vendor is assuring you that whatever the inspection certificate we have provided, it is through with all the quality norms. So quality is not required, deconsolidation is not required, because you are receiving a big assembly like you can consider as one big equipment assembly like train equipment, the wheels and all, just for an example. So in some of the cases the process is short, in some cases the process is quite big. Okay, for some material process is basically average. So you are driving the process against each and every material using this process oriented storage control, and that is basically the beauty of EWM, and it is a very important thing. Okay, without this process oriented storage control, it's very difficult to drive the materials in EWM. Okay, so that is the other part of EWM. Okay, so these are the two important things as of now. There are other things also, but these are the very important, like the work centers and the process oriented storage control or layout oriented storage control. What is the layout? Whenever the layout of the warehouse is changing, suppose you are you are receiving the material, okay, in your warehouse, and you have two floors in the warehouse, ground floor and the first floor. The material that you have received basically needs to be put away on the top floor. So in that case the layout is getting changed, because you may need to use the staircases, you may need to use the lifts. Okay, so in that case you can add the staircases and lifts also in your warehouse to track that the material is in the at the staircases or material is in the lift. Okay, so up to that level you can track. So where the layout of the warehouse is getting changes, okay, we call it as layout oriented storage control. So we will see in detail, but just to take you through the demo, that these are the important concepts. Other important thing is basically we have integrated Fury applications, and we can easily integrate the RF functionalities, radio frequency means mobile devices. We can easily connect with EWM in these cases. Okay, if I talked about the organizational structure, okay, of EWM, so if I talk about the MM, so MM is quite easy, that we have the plant and we have the storage location, and this is the lowest level where we are storing the material in the material management. If I talk about the warehouse side, okay, that is the old WM. Okay, so this storage location is assigned to the warehouse in that case. Okay, so we have the plant, we have the storage locations, and that storage location is assigned to one warehouse. And within the warehouse, as I said in my initial slides of demo, that warehouse is basically segregate into the different storage types. So one storage type could be of your electrical equipments, one storage type could be of your chemical equipments, one storage type could be of your wiring equipments kind of. Okay, so you have bifurcate, you have segregate the entire warehouse into the different storage types where you are placing the material. So these are the storage type. Within the storage type we have different sections. So section could be based on the material type, section could be based on the low, medium, high, okay, of the storage type, or storage section could be further divided into the different frequency of the material, like nut and washer are the high frequency material that we basically use for the productions. Okay, there are some big materials like equipments that are the low moving materials. Okay, and there are the average moving materials also in the warehouse. So we can divide the entire storage type based on the different sections also. Okay, and within the sections we have the storage bin, as I've shown you in the previous figures. Okay, where we place the material in the storage section in the handling units also, that is the wooden boxes where we are placing the material. So this is the difference between the IM and the WM. And if I take it to the EWM side, okay, so this is basically the EWM organizational structure. So the only difference over here, if you can see, there is not much difference. I forgot to add one line over here. So before that, this is the plant, this is a storage location, this is up to, this is the IM side. Then I have assigned the storage location with the warehouse. Okay, and then within the warehouse we have the storage types. Under the storage type we have sections, so that part I basically missed to add over here. So we have the storage sections also, and under the sections we have the bins also. So WM and EWM structure is almost same. There is no difference in the organizational structure of WM and EWM. Only difference over here is basically these. Okay, oval shape, that is the activity area, and that is basically the important concept from the interview point of view also, because interviewer will ask you what is the activity area and what is basically the importance of activity area. So activity area is basically the logical unit in which we are not dividing the entire warehouse storage bin, okay, based on the different activities. What are the activities? The activities could be the put away activity, picking activity, inventory counting activity. Okay, so I have no the big warehouse. In the big warehouse I have no 100 of, suppose 100 storage bins. So what I will do, I will divide those storage bins based on the different activity. So out of 100, 50 I'm using for the put away, 20 I'm using for the picking, means to pick the material, and remaining 30 I'm using for the physical inventory. Or there could be a case that I have 100 bins. Those 100 bins can be used for the put away, those 100 bins can be used for the picking, and those 100 bins can be used for the inventory counting. So one bin can assign to the different activities. Different activities means, if you can see, this bin is common for the put away, this bin can be common for the picking. So where I'm storing the material, from the same bin I'm picking the material, and same bin can be used for the physical counting, means inventory counting also. And this is very important concept of EWM. Without activity area, you cannot place the material in the warehouse. You cannot pick the material from the warehouse, because this is how the organizational structure of EWM is designed. Whenever you are adding a new bin in the warehouse, you have to run the activity report. So there is one report that we have to run every time. Okay, whenever we are adding the storage bins in the warehouse. So by running that report, we basically inform EWM that you can consider those bins under your list to place the materials. Okay, so if you don't run that report, then those bins that we have created, new bins, it will not be considered under the EWM. So whenever you are adding a new bin, whenever you are deleting a new bin, whenever you are changing a new bin, okay, you have to run that report every time, so that you have to keep the EWM storage bin database up to date, that these are the list of the bins that should be considered for the put away, picking, and physical inventory. There are other activities also that we will see in detail, but this is the important thing, and this is the only difference between the EWM and WM. Okay. Hmm. If I talked about the
Yeah,
other things, the goods, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, and I can see that. I mean, the quant. What is that mean?
Quant is basically concept of WM. Okay, so where we are placing the material, that is basically the lowest level where we are placing the material. So within the storage bins, we have the quants also. So whenever I place a material in a storage bin, system technically create one quant. Okay, so this is not a physical thing that you can see in the warehouse. So up till this storage bin, you can see that we have the storage bin, and that you can easily notified. But this technique, this is a technical thing, this is one number, okay, that system generates in SAP EWM, SAP WM, that basically identify that whenever I'm adding a material in the bin, okay, when that material is added, so what is a good receipt date, what is a time, okay, that system has added, means added that material or put that material in the bin. So all those information like good receipt date, good receipt time, it is stored in this quant. So whenever there is a strategy called that you want to pick a material that has been placed, first in the storage bin, that should be picked first. Okay, that is first in, first out. So whichever material I have placed first in the storage bin, suppose in this storage bin I have placed like 10 materials based on the different dates. Like Monday I have placed 10 materials, Tuesday I have placed 10 materials, Thursday I have placed 10 materials. Now on Sunday you want to pick 10 materials, but you have to pick in that order that whatever the material I have put first in the storage bin, that is the materials that I have put on Monday, should we pick first, because based on the, you can say, the expiration or something, or you are using the perishable materials like milk, curd and all that have a limited shelf life. So in that case, the system, based on the good receipt date and the time, okay, it will pick those material first. So where those good receipt date and time store, it store in the quant in the WM. Okay, so that's why we are using quants also. So quant is nothing but it's a technical concept of EWM that you cannot see physically, but in system it is there, just for the information. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello. Okay, no problem. So apart from that, WM and EWM, so in WM we basically use transfer requirement and transfer order to move the material. So this TR and TO is basically transfer order. Whenever I'm moving a material from one plant to another plant, from one storage location to another storage location, from one storage type to another storage type, from one section to another section, from one bin to another bin, whenever there is a movement of material, the system basically creates a transfer order. So transfer order is nothing but to move the material from one place to another. In EWM, this TR and TO is basically replaced, and now we call it as warehouse task and warehouse order. So warehouse task is whenever I want to move the material from one place to another, that is from one bin to another, from one section to another, from one storage type to another storage type, from one storage location to another storage location, from one plant to another plant. Any movement in the material within the warehouse or out of the warehouse is basically system create a warehouse task. So there could be many tasks that I'm creating, but I can bind the task under the warehouse order. So I don't want to confuse as of now, but as of now, you can just consider that the warehouse task is basically to move the material from one place to another. And within one warehouse order, we can have many tasks. Okay. Then in WM, we have movement types. Okay, whenever I want to track the movements of the material, either it is a good receipt movement, okay, I'm doing any good receipt in the warehouse, or I'm issuing the material to the customer, okay, or if I'm moving the material from one storage type to another storage type, we have a different movements like 101, 601, 641, 999. So these are the different movements that we basically have in the previous or classical ECC system. Okay, now those movement types are basically replaced by the warehouse process type in EWM. So warehouse process type means for each and every process, for each and every movement in the warehouse. So process could be the unload first. Okay, so I'll go over here. So the first process is that from the vehicle, I'm unloading the material. So that is one process. Okay, to unload. So what under unload, what could be the if I go over here, so this is my unload. This is my first process. Okay, so under unload, how the material move from door to inbound. So this is the first task that system will create. Task one, that is warehouse task. So material move from door to inbound under unload. So this is the warehouse process type. Okay. Then second is to move the material from inbound staging area to any your quality inspection or deconsolidation or counting. Okay, so I will say the count. So this is my second task. What is this? This warehouse process is basically, you can say, HU movement or count. Okay, so you can name any. So in EWM system, you can create any n number of movement types. Okay, in WM and in MM we have no predefined movement types, but in EWM you can create n number of movements. Like I'm creating like from door to inbound staging area, from inbound staging area to count. That is the second warehouse process type or the movement type, and the third is basically put away. So where it will go from count to my final storage type, and that is system will create a task 3. That is the warehouse type. So 3 warehouse type system will create to move the material from door to the final storage type. Okay, from this door to inbound staging area to count, and from count to the storage type. So what is the warehouse process type? Warehouse process type is nothing but the material movement or the movement type that we basically use in material management or the warehouse management. It is the same concept in EWM to move the material from different processes within the warehouse. So different movements, like door is one movement, that is unloading. From door to inbound staging area is one movement. From inbound staging area to count is one movement, and from count to final storage type is one movement. And for each movement, I have created a different warehouse process type. Okay, like 101, 103, 102 in MM or WM. So that is basically a concept of EWM, and that is what the difference. Okay, as with respect to the WM. Now, if I go with the different deployment option, and this will be the last slide, and then I will end because I need to leave little early. I will now address your questions. Okay. So this is a different deployment option, and this is also important if you want to know, if you are being as an architect, if you are an architect, then it is very important for you whenever you are presenting, you should know the different deployment options that customer may ask for. So there are the different deployment options. The first option is that you have the standard ERP system, okay, ECC SAP ERP system, and then you are connecting that with the SCM server. So under this SCM server, you have no different modules like APO, the advanced modules, APO and EWM. So you can use any. Okay, so you have to purchase the entire server, and that server you can use EWM and APO both. Okay, and based on the business need, you can only use the EWM. So that is, we are connecting with the SCM server in that case, having the different other modules, supply chain modules. Okay, the second option is that we have now we are connecting ERP system with the standalone EWM system, that is known as the decentralized EWM system, or you can say the classical decentralized EWM system. Okay, so in that system it is a separate server, and in that server we have only one module, that is EWM. So we have to connect SAP ERP with EWM. Okay, then we have the modules, we have the option, like we have the S4 HANA. Okay, that is embedded S4 HANA. In that S4 HANA we have all the modules, like the core modules, MM, logistics, okay, FI, PP, everything we have in that module, but we are not using EWM, okay, over there. So what we are doing, we just want a separate server, okay, where we will be using EWM. So we do not want to use the embedded functionality of EWM of S4 HANA, but what we are doing, we are just separating our system over there. We want a different server to use that. Okay, so that one possibility is that we do not want to go with a big bang, okay, to up with all the modules. So what we want just want to create a separate system, okay, server, where we will be going with the EWM gradually. Okay, and we are using the basic concepts of S4 HANA. Another part is the same, that we are using the S4 HANA, and then we are using the embedded, we are using decentralized EWM system, that is a separate server where we are using only one module, that is EWM, and we are connecting S4 HANA embedded with EWM. So we are not using embedded EWM functionality of S4 HANA in this system, but we are connecting with the different system, okay, different server, more to be as a decentralized. Okay, and this is the one that we will be using, and now companies are using this one mostly, that is the embedded S4 HANA. In that we have all the core modules, as well as we are using the other modules like EWM, transportation management, APO, GTS, everything. Okay, but in transportation management also, SAP system is basically divided into two in embedded. One is the basic transportation. If you are using the basic transportation, there is no charges, but you are going with the advanced transportation, then you have to use the, means you have to pay extra in embedded. So this is how the segregation is done by the SAP. Okay. Okay, last is basically the material, master data in embedded and decentral. So when we talk about the decentral, so whenever you want to send the data from ERP to EWM, because in ERP we have all the data like vendor master, material master, vendor master, material master, customer master. So these are the basic data that we are using in ERP in order to create the purchase order, sales order, or production. So you want that the same data should be now available in EWM system, then only you can perform the activities operations in EWM. So to send that data, we basically use SIF, okay, in classical decentral EWM system. Whereas in embedded, this SIFing is not required. SIF is basically the functionality that we have in ERP system, okay, to send the data, to replicate the data in the different system, okay. So that is only available for the decentral, that SIFing part. But if you are using the embedded EWM system, that is the S4 HANA embedded EWM system, where we have other one big system having all the core modules as well as the EWM module, in that case SIFing is not required. If those vendor master and customer master, sorry, vendor and customer master is basically replaced by the BP. So you have one common transaction. So once you create the BP, it will be reflecting in EWM also. For material master, you have to use the basic transaction codes like MM01. Okay, you have created the material master, but you have to extend the material master to the EWM views. Okay, so for that you have to use the standard EWM transaction to extend the material master view. But the big thing is that you no need to create any shipping, okay, to send the data from ERP to EWM. Okay, so once you have created the data anywhere centrally, it will reflect in EWM. If I talked about the bottom part, that is a transactional data to move the material from one system to another, that is from ERP system to EWM system. It is common across both the system, that is decentral as well as embedded. Both use this distribution model to send the data like inbound delivery, outbound delivery, or PMR, that is product material request, that we use in the production order. Okay, so either we are using the decentral or embedded, the concept is same, that is we have to create a distribution model, okay, and with the distribution model we are using the QRFCs, okay, to send the data. So that we'll see in detail during the integration setup, that how it does. But this also know sometimes the interviewer asks this, that what, how we basically send the data in decentral, okay, on how we send the data in embedded. And there is one more concept that is coming, that is decentral EWM system on S4 HANA, that is this. Okay, so I forgot to add, there is one more thing, that you have the S4 HANA over here and you have the S4 HANA over here also. So what you are doing, you are just running all your core modules like MM, PP, FI in this, but you are using another S4 HANA specifically for EWM. Okay, so for that cases, okay, we are using idocs. So that is a new concept that is coming in the market. So to send the data from your S4 HANA to S4 HANA embedded in S4 HANA EW, decentralized EWM in S4 HANA. Okay, so in that case we are using idocs. So these are the three difference. For decentral we are using SIFing. For embedded we are not using any SIFing, and for decentral EWM in S4 HANA we are using idocs. Whereas the lower part for all the three system is same, that is distribution model. Okay, that we have to create a distribution model and we have to use QRFCs to send the data. It's a bi-directional, means we are receiving the data from EWM, we are sending the data from ERP. Both side it works. Okay, so that is where I will stop, okay, my demo. Okay, so there are other things like good receipt process, good issue process. These are the integration slides I have, okay, that I will be take you through. Okay, these are some of the configurations details, okay, for each and every topic. Okay, let me just like what is warehouse, how we determine, okay, different master data in EWM, okay, what all things we have to configure. So all those things we have, okay, packing specification, like how to create handling units. Okay, so all those configuration I have, like process oriented storage control, that I said, that how the material moves from unloading to deconsolidation to put away. So these things we define in the system. Okay, and then we assign it to the material master, and then the material automatically drives. No need to remind anything. Okay, it's not your duty. System will show you how to move. So everything is there in the system, okay, in my slides, that I will cover during my demo, my normal sessions. So I will end up here, okay, and if you have any queries, question, then I can happy to answer you, else we can disconnect the call.